again. This is Donovan Dreyer, and we're doing 2 of the SOS training. And I'd like to really cover today how we what are the thoughts behind sharing this with the rest of the school. And let me also share my video screen. This is when things get crazy. See if we can get this figured out this time. All right, so it shows that I'm showing the PowerPoint. I'm not going to mess with it, so I think we're good. Okay. So, all right, we've got this going on here today. We're going to do solving our stress, and this is part 2. So we're doing our training part 2 here today, and I'm going to be talking about a number of things that that cover, just how we weave this into the school more thoroughly, and we're going to kick this off with how world-class athletes model proactive green zone for us. So the green zone is this section of the SOS that is the healthy stress. We've covered that a couple of times now. All right, and so there's this book called Willpower, Rediscovering the Greatest Human Strength. And within this book, Willpower, I highly recommend reading this book. It's awesome. So they talk about healthy habits create automaticity. And automaticity is this idea that you've got, once you create these incredibly strong habits, like brushing your teeth, you don't even give a second thought to it, and it's not a burn on your willpower. So when things kind of eat away at us and we don't have good healthy habits and good healthy routines, what happens is it burns our willpower away, and then when it comes time to perform in any kind of way, whether that's at school or when we look at athletes, I really started to think a lot about Michael Phelps, so we'll talk more about that in a second. But your willpower sets itself every single day. So Roy Baumeister and John Tierney talked about this, where your willpower gets set fresh every single day, and when you really, you do a bunch of things that eat away at it, like every decision you make chews away at your willpower, and so the more decisions you've got to make on a daily basis, just kind of spontaneously, the more you burn away your willpower each and every day. So when you create these healthy habits, like these powerful athletes, these world-class athletes, they're able to perform under pressure, and they really keep themselves in the green zone. So you've got guys like Bjorn Borg. One of Bjorn Borg's famous sayings that I remember when I was a kid was that, when he won championships, they asked him why, and he said, well, I just keep hitting the same old boring winner. And that's like mind-blowing, because you're thinking, like, hitting a winner is huge when you hit that ball down the line and whip it by somebody like Jimmy Connors back in the day, or John McEnroe. Like, that was tough. But what he said was just hitting the same old boring winner. So whether it was practice, whether it was the real deal, he was just doing the same thing he normally does. And it just looks awesome under pressure, because we're all thinking about, oh, these are the tough points and these are the hard parts of the match and so on. But they just build these incredibly strong routines, practicing, and they win the game. And what we're talking about here with teens and kids is that we're trying to help them win the game of life. So we've got this immediate future of humanity in our hands that we're molding and shaping. And same thing for Michael Phelps. We'll come back to that next slide in a second. Michael Phelps, he just had like a 20-minute break or like a 20-minute early release from one practice out of like his whole career. So here's a guy that, same thing. He just got gold medals at the end of his daily routine. All right, so what do probiotics and prebiotics have to do with the teen team? So the teen team for me is kind of like this concept of it takes a village to raise a child. For me, it takes a team to raise a teenager. And so I like this idea of kind of captaining the teen team. So I like this idea for school counselors being school counselor squad leader. But with the teen team, what we've got going on here is the more support they have, the better their ecosystem is, the more strength they've got around building these positive habits and processes in their life, and they know those expectations clearly. It's similar to our biome. So what your biome is your gut. So this idea of trusting your gut comes back to what's really going on in there. If you feed your if you feed yourself super healthy foods, then what your biome is all healthy and strong and good things going on in there, and that is what that's what's functioning and helping you thrive in life with a healthy diet is your biome. So probiotics are things like what are in yogurt, and prebiotics are actually something that Raphael Kelman discovered. And what he discovered is that if you actually help what's already there, so you've already got a decent team. So if you raise the game of your biome of what's already in there instead of adding new things in with yogurt, then that's a very powerful factor, one of the incredibly powerful factors that's being discovered right now within the world of diet. So with the team, it's the same thing. Like the ecosystem is huge when it comes to what we're looking to support and facilitate with our kids. All right, so that's the idea behind what do probiotics and prebiotics have to do with the team. We really want to raise our game within the entire ecosystem, the school, the family, and so on. All right, so in relating this even further with school, when you have kids in the green zone and you have the entire family in the green zone, you actually can have kids that come through any type of school. So the whole school might not be in the green zone, but I really think when you have the school going well too, you facilitate this opportunity like I've seen a couple times with two different families. So the Boettcher Scholarship in Colorado here is a full ride scholarship that they give away to about 40 students every school year, at the end of every school year. And I've had two families where there's either 2 or 3 winners of the Boettcher. And that's really where I got this concept of your ecosystem is what really matters. Your team is what really matters. And you've got to be helped to be kept into the green zone with all these healthy support systems around you. So I think with what I've seen, two of the strongest families with the best habits and the most supportive parents, those are the kids that are, those are the, odds are if there's only 40 out of thousands and thousands or maybe millions of kids winning a Boettcher each year, if you get 2 and 3 from the exact same family, that is really telling. So this is that concept continued that the ecosystem is really huge. All right, so this is all kind of supporting the idea that we want as many people as possible learning SOS. So I've got a quick question right now. In the Facebook group, post your best example of a healthy routine that you've seen either at school or at home. What I see as one of the most healthy routines is just having dinner together. Like tonight, I didn't schedule this to work out tonight, but man, we have dinner almost every single night, often have lunch together as well. So that's one of the biggest healthy routines that I've incorporated in my life. But you can certainly feel free as you watch this video on the recording, go ahead and put something in the Facebook group. So just say this is in response to the question to the most important or the best healthy routines that you've seen at home or at school. All right, now I want to come to this idea of the snitch switch. So we're following up now on what are those essential elements to creating a thriving culture. And one of the things I see, so I talked to some of the kids that were circled up after one of our losses and just asked, well, why don't you let somebody know? Why can't you just let somebody know that there's a big issue, something going on? And can you let a counselor know? Can you let a parent know? Can you let somebody important know? And they just said no. That'd be snitching. I can't narc on my friends or snitch or tell on them because that's going against who they are. It's going against our friendship. The only problem with that is we end up burying our kids. We have these situations get so bad and so extreme that nobody's there to help because nobody's looking out for that help. So I want to switch this concept. So with this idea of snitch switch, it's how can we switch this gut feeling, like something's going on here, I can tell in my gut, but I just can't snitch. There's no way I can do that. And same thing, gut feel and then same decision, gut feel and same decision over and over. So it's kind of like this habit loop. This is from the book, The Power of Habit. And The Power of Habit is by Charles Duhigg. And what he discovered is that we do what we do similar to that book, Willpower. We do things out of habit. And these habits are, we want to build healthy ones, obviously. So this idea of creating a healthy habit is what I think is key to the snitch switch. So if we look at this little mouse going around in this habit loop, they just keep getting that cue and they go for the reward. They get the cue and they go for the reward. We always kind of have this decision point in life where, like, this gut feeling for the kids. What gets in the way is the cue, is the gut feel, but the snitch switch creates that routine of, I don't want to risk. You know, we got risk and reward. So in this case, they're avoiding the risk of getting their friends mad at them. So over and over and over, we see this routine where you see the trigger or cue create the same patterns over and over. All right, so this is the idea of The Power of Habit with Charles Duhigg, and this is an incredible book. I highly recommend it because it just shows just the beauty of it. The Michael Phelps example was in there, and when we look at making a change, we can't just say, like, here's the answer on how you make a change, please go do that. And that's what you should go do today. It's not a one-time deal. We've got to create these habits and do it like the saying goes, like over 21 days. But what he talks about is the force of the old habit, the existing habit, is so strong that beyond those first 21 days, you've got to keep going with the reinforcement of the new thing that you're attempting to do. So when your gut tells you to do that usual bad habit, you've got to just build it into that automaticity that we talked about earlier, where that habit gets stronger and stronger and stronger. All right, so again, here in the School Counselor Squad, if you're watching this on the recording or in the chat box right here, post a cue, a trigger, an inflection point that can turn this idea of snitch into hero. So that's the idea, is I'd like to make the snitch switch from when you have that gut feeling. It's similar to somebody's out there drowning in the water. You wouldn't think, well, I'm snitching on that 5-year-old who's drowning if I go tell the lifeguard. So can we maybe brainstorm some ideas? So that's my example of, if we've got a cue or a trigger, can we make that conversation more like you're saving somebody? Is there a way that we can kind of figure out or brainstorm, what are these ways that we can turn this idea of being a snitch into being a hero? Because what we risk is our friends are mad at us. But one of the administrators at one of my old schools used to say, and they'll be mad at you for a long, long time. And that's the idea, is when we really get into this, life or death risk, we want to make sure our kids are staying alive. And so they've got to change. They've got to make this snitch switch in the schools so that when that cue happens, they don't go for that same bad habit that puts the lives of their friends at risk. And same thing, if we spot things like the girlfriend of the guy in Orlando, these people that are out there doing these shootings, they're in the red zone. Like, that's the most simple explanation I can give for all of these things that have happened that are crazy out there, from like the Columbine shootings all the way up till now, and even before that. All of those things happen because people are in the red zone, and basically they weren't caught in time. So now this idea is everyone at the school is part of the air traffic control. So right now, everyone at school is air traffic control. So similar to this idea that you can go tell the lifeguard if there's something going on. So everybody's air traffic control out there for each other. So if it's in your own clique, if it's in your own group, we want you to have eyes on your friends. If it's your boyfriend, your girlfriend, like the guy in Orlando, his girlfriend maybe could have said something, or but that force of habit, like, can you blame somebody when the entire society is kind of ignoring those gut level feelings? And we can't blame, but I think we can take better responsibility. So if everybody's better at having an eye on each other within each other's small groups, within each other's cliques, or if you see something going on outside of your clique, or if you're just a staff member monitoring the hallways, or you're seeing something going on in the classroom, or you get to know one of your students really well, we've got to be better eyes out there for each other. So that's the idea behind everybody being air traffic control. And selling this concept too of this idea of what you're risking. There's one student that had his buddy in the red zone. He was trying to talk him down, that we showed in that last week's example. Is he could have been better air traffic control and just bring his friend to the counseling office. All right, so we're moving pretty fast here today on this review. I want to get some core concepts and get these recommendations of different books across. And I want to talk about April 28th. That was supposed to be the kickoff day for the SOS cohort. So you're looking at a slide here that shows my calendar on 4/28. This was the day of the fourth student who committed suicide. So in 2014-15, we lost 3 students, but it was literally the night that I was going to send out this instructional video and make an instructional video after school on a Thursday and send it out to counselors in my district. So this is what really kind of pushed this other idea of air traffic control. And we've got this narrow vision of what we can see, and we keep our eyes best we can with the large group of students that we're watching over school counselors. But man, this first cohort was supposed to kick off on the 28th of April, and now we're into it finally. And this idea of taking that serious responsibility to spread. If we get no more resources, fine. If we get no more money on the job, great. That's fine. It's not great, obviously, but the idea is we've got to find a way to avoid these situations if at all possible, or avoid even one of them. I mean, if we avoid one lost student to suicide because of SOS, then it's of infinite value to me. And I hope you see it that way too. So this is a toughie to go back and look at that calendar and what I had planned. So we have a seeing problem in the world. We have a red zone world. We have people getting into the red zone over and over and over out there and cracking. And the mind just kind of shuts down when they're up there in that red zone. And I've got more of a simple chart here. This just shows the green, yellow, and red. Keeps it super simple, and this traffic light for our inner travels is huge. So this idea of can you see where you're going? Are you smashing into people? The recording is going to show that I've added in the little airplanes and redirecting the traffic and making sure they don't run into each other. And we can't run red. We can't run red lights out there in the street. We can't run red internally. So we want to expand the seeing solution to the seeing problem. So the more you use it, and the more you start using it at school, the more you bring it into your conversation within your school, and the more it starts to stick and spread, we'll have this common language that really cuts across any language, I think. So I'd like to see you try out SOS this week and send a screenshot with an explanation. So I'd like to see you, maybe explain it to a family member, and and tell me, like, is this something that you start to see as a huge value for schools and for you to use as a school counselor? Is this something that we need to be introducing into our society so we can get people out of the red zone, keep them out of the red zone, maybe proactively lock them in that green level, like one of these pro athletes out there. This is the game of life, and it's huge. So stepping up SOS, I also want to know what do you need to hear me elaborate on? What are the pieces that are maybe a little bit confusing as you think about actually incorporating this into your daily life at school, as a new modus operandi, a way you're going to operate? I've sent out some surveys, and I'd really just like to create a good service so that you understand what's going on. And as I develop this course further and offer it as a training to schools who do want to share it with their staff, they do want to share it with their students, and they do want to share it with their parents, I'm really excited to go out there and webinar is a great format too. Certainly think that I can share a lot of this information across the country with schools. So if you're thinking your school's interested, let me know. I'd like to know what those challenges are that we face with trying to create a different culture out there when we're trying to get these habits to change and make sure that people aren't slipping into the red zone and staying there unnoticed until they crack. So as we look at this future 2020, first we start with surviving. Like, we basically just need a plan for our kids to survive out there. And then it's from there, it's like, let's get them to thrive. Let's lock them in that green zone as much as possible and find ways that we create these powerful habits and don't exhaust and burn up willpower with pushing each other's buttons in the family, being frazzled and stressed out with the many demands we have as school counselors. Trying to figure out these processes together. Like, what are these powerful elements that need to be included in our habits and in our school culture? So please share anything that needs to be elaborated on, expanded upon, anything that needs to be clarified better as I create this course. I really do want to make sure that April 28th doesn't just keep happening again and again and again in my community. I want to make sure that these crazed gunmen don't just stay in the red zone so long and don't get the help that they need because nobody's looking out for them, nobody's noticing the red flags, and we're kind of smashing into each other into the red zone out there in our society. I know you're part of the solution, and I'm glad that you are, and that's kind of how I'd like to wrap up today on kind of a shorter lesson here. We don't need to overdo or have overkill with these lessons. I just really want to get across this idea of turning the corner on these habits that we just keep going the wrong way with over and over and over again until people slip into the red zone and crack, and then expanding it. How can we expand out there into our schools, into our families, a better way of communicating? So pretty quick, half an hour session here today. It doesn't need to be pushed any further than that. I'm just really excited to get you fired out about spreading this into your school, community, and family, because I really do understand that we've got a seeing problem. I've created a seeing solution, and I love that you're here helping me out with this process of vetting it, turning it into a beta-tested tool this year that turns into something that's evidence-based, data-driven, and isn't it awesome to have this in your mind that you're going to be able to have evidence right after you're done, feedback after every session. It's not going to take a long time to get your evidence back. You just literally get to ask, how are you doing now, before they go out the door, and you've got a visual that's super easy for you to understand, super easy for any student to understand. It's either green is go, yellow caution, or red means help. It means stop and go get some help. All right, everybody, feel free to share with parents and other school counselors out there my resources. The website's getreadycoaching.com. And if you're a school counselor, let them know out there that they can just simply text School Counselor Squad to 33444 to jump on the list. And then if you're a parent, or if you've got parents out there that want to consider getting coached and better understand teenagers, that's another specialty that I'm really honing in on and focusing on. And parents can jump on my list by texting TEAM, so TEEN TEAM, to 33444. That's fine. Definitely feel free to get interactive in the Facebook group. We've got the opportunity to support each other, and sometimes the person that's created it kind of gets that loses touch with the beginning steps. So I created this from scratch and worked it into something that's where I'm presenting it, and sometimes you lose sight of those little questions and bantering back and forth with each other. Feel free to jump on there. Don't be bashful and shy. Jump in there and start sharing in the group. Those groups have been super powerful for me in classes that I've been doing online. So definitely take advantage of the resource of each other. And I think as we get back to school, that'll be even more powerful as we do chart and chat sessions. So we're going to be addressing real life screenshots that come up that people share and email, and also some other ones that I'll be bringing in. All right, thanks a lot, everybody. You take care and have a great day.